Perfect. So we're talking all about how do you gather really effective reviews. So Kim, what you were talking about is a very common experience. You have somebody that has had a negative experience. They're more motivated to write that review. If they've had a positive experience, they may tell you, but like
Mhm,
getting that in writing is a
mhm,
challenge,
mhm,
especially in a timely manner when it's fresh. So that is definitely not an isolated experience. It's a very generalized experience, but how do we
mhm,
combat that is the question.
mhm,
Because and there's a couple of reasons. The problem being, right, that like folks really want to share that you do great work.
mhm,
The blank canvas of a review can be intimidating. So what I
mhm,
want to share with you today is an idea for a template on how to guide your patients and clients to leave an effective review. Because what can happen is even if they love you and they go to that blank canvas and they're going to write a Google review, and they're like, oh my gosh, I saw Dr. Kim. She was so great. I loved it so much. It was awesome, period. I'm like,
mhm,
okay, that is helpful. It is positive, even if it's 5 stars. But what that didn't do is help somebody that was on the fence about coming to you, who
mhm,
saw that review. It doesn't help them get over the hesitations or resistance they might be feeling internally
mhm,
to pick up the phone and make that call. So we're hoping that by gathering a review that is a bit more comprehensive in nature, you can
mhm,
actually have the reviews that convert people potentially or push them over the fence if they're sitting on the fence. And how
mhm,
can we do that without asking too much of our patients and clients? How can we
mhm,
make it easier? So there's a way to do this. I cannot take credit for this. I learned this from Michaela Bucchianeri. She is a doctor of psychology and now she works as a copywriter. She did a couple of workshops for us back in like 2020, 2021. And I pulled this information from what she shared with us. So disclosure, I don't own this information. It is inspired by what Michaela shared with us. But
okay.
what this comes down to is that writing something out of nothing is always effortful and difficult. If we
Mhm,
can guide the patient or the client to answer specific questions, it is not only easier for them to do, but then it's more effective for you. And so let me share with you, let me pull up my notes here. So what this can look like, I want to say before I go into that, where do you funnel the reviews is another potential problem. So not only are people writing reviews that might be a little lackluster if they're writing from a blank canvas, but also like you mentioned, Kim, you mentioned Google Well Connected also is a place to post reviews. Yeah, like there's so many different places to post reviews. Where do you post it? Right?
mhm,
You only got one shot. You want to make the most of that posting.
yeah,
So this approach that I'm going to share with you today helps you maximize that patient's effort one time in multiple spaces. So it actually solves a couple of problems. Gets your patient to find it easier to share what's most important about your work. It's then you have to do some heavy lifting because you're going to actually take their answers and put them all together, but it's worthwhile because then
mhm,
it's actually easier for them to go and copy and paste what they've written, it's their words,
mhm,
into where you need them most. So you
okay.
actually get to maximize the effectiveness of that review.
Mhm,
So what does this process look like? The process looks like, well, and wholly, right? Having a process is good. So
mhm,
knowing that, like, when are you asking for reviews? Is it right before that participant or client is finished with your services? Is it just after? And that will depend a bit on what service that they're buying from you and when it makes the most sense. But you do want to capitalize on the momentum. You do want to capitalize on the feeling and the investment that that patient client already has for your services,
mhm,
and like you can make the best decision on when are you giving them that this form. But the form, I will share a link to it after I talk about it so you're not distracted.
okay.
But there's actually a form with specific questions that you can of course customize for your business, but it's short enough where that patient or client is able to answer it pretty quickly. And then after you send and collect that information, what you do is you actually get to wordsmith it so it makes sense all together. So what
Mhm,
this ends up creating is a trajectory of service of questions that gives the reader a full picture. Like, I came looking for this. I was nervous about saying yes originally because of these things, or I've already seen 10 people about the same thing. But this is when I started to notice the real difference.
Mhm.
And this is the effect I'm still feeling, results I'm still getting. And then, of course, adding anything else they want to share. What
Mhm.
you've just created is this beautiful arc of decision making and results. And
Mhm.
that's what's powerful about a real powerful review. It's not like, hey, I really love them, they're so great. I mean, that's awesome. We know you're great. But like, what happened?
Mhm.
And addressing, we all know that without addressing the hesitancy, without addressing some of those like things that we naturally have that keep us from saying yes to a service, addressing
Mhm.
that straight up is actually really important and powerful for review. So making sure we include those pieces, right?
Mhm.
What kinds of things keep or have kept us in the past from saying yes? What made us finally say yes? And then what have we been, how have we been rewarded, basically? So you're addressing all of that from that human psyche. So
Mhm.
you are responsible for then smithing this together. And again, you're not making anything up. You're not adding anything to their words beyond making the grammar flow.
Mhm.
So you're actually just giving back that client their own words in this package. They then approve it for your use.
Okay.
So if they approve it for your use, my suggestion is with that approval process, you have no more than 3 different places that they could put that, but they're copy and pasting their own words into Google, into like your well-connected profile. Where
Mhm.
else do you want to put it? No more than 3, because again, we want to make sure that they're actually following through. If it's too much, they're not going to do it.
Mhm.
It's got to be specific and easy. How do we make that specific and easy? Also keep that review, not just on Google. So if you actually have it, store it in a safe place, right? Put it in a folder, keep it, date it, make sure you know who said it, because you could then go back and when I don't know, when you update your website or when you're doing your content marketing or emails and you want to include those testimonials and reviews, you have that and you're not having to go to Google and search through. You can actually keep them all in one place. So you can have that one interaction, that one review really do a lot of work for you, which is helpful. So I'm going to
Mhm.
share with you this form that you are welcome to make a copy of.
Okay.
So let me just share it with you here in the chat. I also put it in the Mighty Network.
Okay.
Here you go. So this includes just a few of these questions, and I'm going to share with you like what those questions look like. So first, what type of support or outcome were you seeking when you enrolled in the service? What were you looking for? What were you originally hoping for? Right? That's the beginning stage. What have you tried in the past before purchasing the service? Asking for the hesitations. Did you know what hesitations, if you had any, did you have before purchasing? And then describe the moment you realized the service was working for you. What was the thing? What was the approach, the moment, the technique? What was it that you really felt things shift and move for you? And that,
Mhm.
okay, like it helps to compare. Like you've tried these things, that didn't work. This is the moment that I actually saw results. And this is when it started to shift and move for me. And then since the service concluded, what results are you currently experiencing? And again, you could adjust and change these based on the services that you're offering to make it make the most sense. But in general, you want to see that arc.
Mhm.
And then, of course, leaving it open, anything else you want to share.
Mhm.
Most often, that's going to be the space that, not everybody puts things in. Because again, blank canvas,
Mhm.
blank canvas is a lot. You're
Right.
asking a lot of creative effort. So that is like the flow and the form you could utilize. So you mentioned, Kim, you have a code, like a barcode for a Google review.
Mhm. Mhm.
Great. An example of this, maybe you make a code for like this quick form.
Mhm.
And because it's specific, I wonder, how that could be integrated into your flow. As a part of a thank you, answer take specific amount of time, how much time do you think this could actually take to answer these specific questions about your experience? All of those things tell your patients or clients that like, this is going to take only X amount of time. I can commit that much time to it. Okay, I will.
Mhm.
All of that helps get them to say yes and actually take action and leaves
Okay.
you with a better result that's more flexible. and more easily utilized.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, I spoke a lot, but those are some of the things that I've learned through others that I've picked up that I wanted to share back to you, because I know that gathering reviews are really hard, and reviews are going to continue to be a big deal. Well, big deal everywhere, but like for the Well Connected directory right now, our reviews are really an underutilized advantage on our
Mhm.
listing. And I get
Right.
it. Why would you want to funnel somebody to Well Connected when you could funnel them to Google? Google's doing you more work. Like,
Mhm.
yes, I get it. Funnel them to Google. I get it. But what if you could do both?
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
make sure it happens in both places.
Yeah.
What could that do for you? And again, where else are you wanting to put them in a really
Mhm.
simple way?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great.
What are some like reflections on that process? Is it something you've tried before? What do you think?
Yeah, I like the structure instead of, yeah, I like the idea of providing them some tools and the idea of helping somebody else who might be looking for, trying to determine what they're looking for. So
So
Mhm.
my question was like on the options sections. Can you clarify on that exactly what that is?
Oh, you're looking on the actual form. So right now, it's a general template. So that first question is, what service did you, what service are you reviewing right now?
Okay.
That can be helpful for you if you have or offer multiple services. So that's
Okay.
just to indicate to you when you are smithing that review, like what did you probably know.
Okay.
You can choose to utilize that or omit it altogether, but it
Sure.
can be useful if you provide
Okay.
multiple things.
Thanks.
Or if they've experienced multiple things from you, let's say they they are a client of yours that has taken part in a few different types of services. If they're
Mhm.
specifically reviewing one type of service over another, that can be really helpful. So that way it can actually frame their feedback so it's not so general. Because again, general
Okay.
feedback can only do so much good. I think positive
Right.
is positive, but the
Mhm.
specific stuff is where we often lack in our reviews.
mhm.
Sure. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally. I just want more people to understand what it actually feels like to receive care, because that is actually one of what I've experienced in my line of work too, and speaking with the public. There's so much hesitation because they don't know what it's going to feel like to say
Mhm.
yes and to go through and do the thing. And it's often expensive to
Mhm.
start that process and that journey. So
Yes.
every time they read somebody else's experience of having the same hesitations they do, and saying yes and going through the thing and actually seeing a result, that's going to lower their barriers
Mhm.
to at least doing that first consult call, so you both can make that decision if it's a good fit or not. But a
Mhm.
lot of folks are sitting on the fence of if they even want to pick up the phone and dial.
Mhm. Right.
Mhm. Yeah, that's all
Mhm.
I have.
Mhm.
That's
That's
it.
helpful.
I'm
That's
just
helpful.
go ahead.
No, I just said that's helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yes.
good.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm glad. I'm gonna stop the recording just because that's the piece here.